Okay, hello. I am asking you to get engaged with me, right? To engage with me. Maybe we'll get married, maybe we won't. But the point is that I'm not asking you to agree with everything we're about to talk about in this conversation. And I'm not asking you just to support what I'm doing. I'm making it really clear that I cannot do anything without your engaging with me. Not that I'm lacking in any power, but with everyone, you can only do what you can do. I can do what I can do. That's why we ought to have respect for our differences. It makes sense. Take that back. Not that we ought to, but it makes sense to have respect for our differences because we bring something different to the table. And as a former teacher, mostly math teacher, I can't tell you what a great realization I've had when it comes to the gift that it is, seeing the gift that it is that we're all different. Even in a subject like math that can seem so black and white and really in many ways is so black and white, we are so powerful in our differences. We are so beautiful in our differences. I could ask a question and lead a discussion in a math class, and every year, every class, I end up getting some response and some direction to that conversation that I could not have imagined. And I love that because it's a big fuck you to the world that tells us that differences are a reason to fear one another. I know that in engaging with all of you in this conversation, there will be absolutely different viewpoints, and those viewpoints will expand my own understanding of this conversation, of bullying, of children. I don't want to stay where I am and just plateau, and I don't want to be married to any ideas. We are not made to just stay in one spot, even in our mindset. It's not that I expect, by the end of this, I will maybe disrespect children. No. It's that I can't imagine. And I love that. And it's kind of the thing that freaks us out about life. But I love that I cannot imagine what this conversation will turn into. But I know it's going to be great. I know it's going to be beautiful. I know that we will take each other on an amazing journey, a never-ending journey, a place where we get bigger and bigger and bigger in our own personal space, where we're liberated in so many ways. And in turn, that will bring liberation to the world that we live in. It's inevitable. It's inevitable. A statistic or a fact, that I love, okay? You know how you learn something, you're like, this makes everything I know so true, right? Not no, but no, so true. The Gottman Institute tells us that 95% of problem solving is understanding and empathy. So we've got a problem called bullying. We've got a problem called a lot of things, but we've got a problem called bullying. And we can solve it 95%. We can solve 95% of this problem with understanding and empathy. And forget the people who don't want to understand, or who are afraid to understand, because let's say it correctly. Let's just call things what they are and stick to our story, right? That helps so much for continued and increased clarity and problem solving, okay? Because it allows us to understand. It opens us up to understanding, and it opens us up to empathy. So I love it. I mean, who needs to like work hard and not even be moving in the direction that will take you where you want to go? Not me. So I love knowing that. If I want to solve a problem, any problem, I better aim for understanding and empathy. And so there was something posted by a Facebook friend yesterday, and it was something like, the whole issue at Starbucks with some confused person throwing out the two black men who were, entrepreneurs. And so she was sitting at a Starbucks, this friend of mine, and she said that she overheard some white people talking about, they were saying, I guess she was not at Starbucks, but in front of it or something. And they were saying, why is it closed? And then they were, talking about how that's because, black people had an issue, or they had an issue regarding black people. And, black people always want to call it slavery whenever anything happens to them. So obviously making a silly statement. You could call it a silly statement, or you could just recognize that that's their level of understanding, right? Not silly at all. It's quite appropriate for their level of understanding. So automatically, people are like, oh, that's bad. That's wrong, right? No, it's appropriate for the level of understanding. It expresses their level of understanding. Can you be confused about the level of understanding these two people have? No, thank you. You're welcome. Bye. Right? Okay. We will be blessed. Okay? I don't mean in a religious way. Just, we will find ourselves in a place where there is never-ending goodness coming to us, right? A place where we will find what we want comes to us easily when we get different about our reactions to things or our responses to things. So in light of this fact that 95% of problem solving is understanding and empathy. What's going to help in a situation like that? Understanding. Because don't you hear things where you're like, I wish I would understand what the hell caused you to make that statement, right? Like, it's kind of, don't you experience some things where at least, even if you're not asking for understanding, you're definitely horrifyingly confused. Like, where did you come from with that, right? I'm not confused by that. We'll have that conversation another time, I'm sure. I know where that's coming from. It's simple. It's not shocking. We can get shocked and waste our time, or we can say, yeah, I know where I live. Some people think that this idea of a lack of proportionality when it comes to blacks and whites is a delusion. It's just true. Okay, so forget the shock. Would you like to stay here? Because I'm not staying here. It's not safe for me, okay? And it's not safe for the others either. I'm gonna lose my mind to stay in a world that is stagnant with ignorance. And I'm not just talking about on the part of these people we're talking about, for example. I'm talking about on my part as well. I wanna know. I want to understand. Because in understanding, we can solve something. We can get to an enlightenment. You know what? When I have an experience with someone else that is not what I want it to be, the only thing I have control over is myself. What I'm getting out of it. what I'm learning from it. I cannot force someone to learn something, but you know what? I can gain even more power if I can understand where they're coming from. I don't have to be afraid of it. I don't have to be afraid of them. I don't have to be afraid of their ignorance. Fear is destructive. So like, let's stop the vicious cycle. Whoa, I can't believe it. I live in this world. I hate black people. I'm brown, whatever. Okay. It's not helping. It's giving a whole lot of energy to a place that doesn't help. So back to the conversation. When I ask you to engage with me in this conversation, I'm asking you not to agree with me. I don't have to ask you to agree with me. And for me to ask you to agree with me would be a waste of my energy. You're going to agree or not because, hello, it's called free will. Okay. It's a fact. It's not a belief. It's not cute and fun. It's true. Okay. You can do whatever you want. Oh, you don't believe we can do whatever we want? We're doing it. We're doing all sorts of things. We're starting Me Too movements. We are daring to be honest about horrifying situations we've experienced. We're getting empowered. We're getting disempowered. We're murdering people. We're putting children in prisons where they don't belong for crimes they never... I could go on for the rest of my existence. We're doing it. You have no control over anyone else, but you have a whole lot of control over yourself. And I welcome you to come with that control over yourself, right? And let's talk. Let's talk about this, because when we speak, we express the power that we have. We affirm that each one of us is powerful. And we affirm that we can do whatever we want. And we also expand. Now, if you're coming to this conversation, and I can't stop you from doing that, with some sort of intention to make everyone think, good luck. If you're coming into it basically trying to pretend to have some control over the conversation or someone else, it's just not going to be effective. So I'm not concerned. I don't believe that is what we will be experiencing. I know that whoever would engage in a conversation, I know, we've got people doing silly things. That's great. That's great. Everyone is welcome, because everyone will cause us all to expand. Period. Okay. I've already been told by someone, too much cleavage in my intro video. First of all, we will have the conversation on violent speech, right? Choice of words that lead to violence. And how has that expanded me? Oh, yeah. It's made me say again that we are going to have the conversation, specifically when it comes to appearance. I can't wait to have that conversation. I can't wait to have that conversation. I refuse to be pigeonholed. It's time. I'm not going by, I'm talking about children. I better get out my Mother Teresa costume. I mean, I am me talking to you, period. You're welcome. Okay? So anyway, I can't wait. I can't wait to engage with you in this conversation. I'm looking forward to doing so many live conversations. Obviously, that's how we're going to have a conversation, other than you commenting and letting me know your thoughts. Now, maybe I care, maybe I don't. But I love that it will expand me and blah, blah, blah. Okay. Thank you. See you soon. Bye.